There's so many issues. I mean, I could go into, you know, thinking about making us a nuclear-free zone. I mean, you know, spending thousands and thousands of dollars on virtue signalling doesn't help the average ratepayer. So I say, let's focus on the local issues, and that's always been my focus.
So, you know, back to your point about, you know, what's in the interests of, you know, the residents. Being in the eye of the storm often, how do you regulate yourself to not get skewed by the voice of that minority, make the noise? Yeah.
Oh, look, sometimes what I do is I actually stand in front of the supermarket and just asking people and go, what do you reckon? What do you think it is? I do ask. And whether it's asking, you know, if I'm, I don't know, playing football somewhere, or I'm going for a walk somewhere, or I go into the lotto shop, or wherever I go, I might say, hey, we've got this vote coming up. What would you do? Well, how do you think the community would feel about this? So I tend to ask people. If they're not telling me, I ask them. And just based on the feel of what the community is saying, I go, okay, well, that's probably the way to go.
Do you run into the quote-unquote selfish, ignorant citizens when you...
You do. And we continue to. And that's, you know what, I'll just say, let's agree to disagree, as I mentioned.
Do you have any particular, like, apart from like listening and asking the citizens on, you know, what do you think on this particular view that's been put out there?
Yeah.
Is there any particular position that you're publicly putting out there to say, you know what, this is something I champion right now?
No, not really. There's some videos that I put up recently about things I'm passionate about, but not really. I tend to go with 99% of the time. I tend to go with what the residents say. Why? Because
there's no Aussie legacy there. You want to lean back behind and say no.
Well, but then how would you characterise then? Like, is it listening to the residents, or is it blowing with the wind?
No, it generally is.
But I mean, sorry, you know, you can say, like, I stand for something, these are my principles, but another way of looking at, like, you know, if you do, can you do quote unquote too much listening and just sort of stand for nothing, blow with the wind?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, you know, like councillors will say, I stand for social justice, I stand for equality, I stand for multiculturalism, and I stand for decency. I genuinely stand for decency. I genuinely stand for working hard and being able to justify your existence. I believe in accountability. I believe in doing the right thing. We do make mistakes. And going back to the expectation, people's expectation of me should not be the same as expectation of the local MP.